Hello, I'm Deck Save Dan, and if you haven't watched my video about recaps, this is going to make no sense to you. But what follows is a recap video of one of the campaigns I'm running. It's a light-hearted, swashbuckling campaign, and the video reflects that. Enjoy.
Previously on Gnomz. After their ship is damaged by forces unknown, the crew of the Rodimus Prime find themselves in Gilhelm. The crew consists of the Rod, captain of the ship, and a charmer whose bedroom prowess is just as dangerous as his swordplay. Watch out, ladies. Coco, the gold-loving dwarf who also serves as first mate. Ertlzor, the ship's sawbones who has traveled the world picking up magic along the way. And finally, Jonald, the gun-toting, explosion-loving Gerblin. To drown their sorrows, the Buccaneers headed to the Frothy Mare, a tavern on the outskirts of Gilhelm. Here they encountered Hankerin Fernale, mayor of Gilhelm, who offered them a deal. If the Rodimus Primes could rescue his 3 kidnapped children, he would give them a boat and 160 pieces of gold. They accept his quest, and together with Crumb, Hankerin's bodyguard, they travel for 3 days, eventually arriving at the Blood Pine. Leaving Crumb behind, our valiant heroes fight through goblins and wolves to gain entry to the Pine. They ascend the stairs, and in a room with bleeding walls find a goblin shaman, chanting over a book as the 3 children hang in cages. 2 bugbears appear and shit gets real. Coco throws his anchor, knocking the book clear of the shaman, and the Rod uses his fishing rod to grab the book, but upon touching it, has a vision of a terrifying, gigantic spider. Using his magic staff, which is similar in shape and size to Ertlzor's, the shaman heals himself, takes the terrified children, and escapes through one of 2 doors. The bugbears are slain. The Rod finds a smooth stone. When touched, the message, "Juliet, is that you?" appears on its surface. Jonald finds a ring which he is unable to remove once it is on his finger. After blasting the door with lightning, the Rodimus Primes ascend steps, emerging in a cavernous room supported by 2 ancient pillars, covered in rune carvings. The children are trapped in a pentagram as the shaman casts his spell. Before them is a hole in the ground, shaped like Ertlzor's staff. Ertlzor places it inside. The runes glow, but the effect is short-lived. As the shaman drains the children's life force, Ertlzor forms a protective shield around them, and the Rod's lightning bolt knocks the shaman's staff from his hand. To add to the chaos, a giant hatch above them opens and spiders and Duergards descend. The fight continues with the spiders and Duergar quickly dispatched. A lucky shot from Jonald strikes the shaman, killing him. As he lay dying, he uttered his final words to Jonald in the goblin language. "Please help us find Queen Knife." The shaman's death was far from the end of their troubles, as at that moment a giant ethereal spider climbed down from the ceiling, taunting the crew of the Rodimus Prime. She mocks them, claiming that the end of the world is coming and it can't be stopped. Undeterred, the Primes turn it up to 11. Coco throws the shaman's staff to Ertlzor, who catches it nimbly. Then, Coco and the Rod grab the kids, making a swift exit. But as he leaves, Coco grabs an item he sees on the altar. Jonald also flees, leaving Ertlzor to deliver the final blow. But not before he swipes the shaman's mystical book. He plunges the shaman's staff into the hole. The room glows, and the once bleeding tree begins to fight back. Ertlzor only just makes it out in time before the room comes crashing down around him. Back in the room of 2 doors, there is little time to celebrate. Coco checks the small book he took from the altar. Inside are 2 packs of cards, one he can access, one he can't. Jonald examines the ring stuck to his finger, noticing that it features the same pentagram pattern that the children had been trapped in moments ago. Despite being dazed and confused, the mayor's children seem fine. Urtelzor tucks the shaman's magical tome he took into his pack, feeling as he does that it is made from elf, dwarf, goblin, and human skin. Columns and doorways collapse, and the band of plucky heroes know it's time to leave. Urtelzor grabs the twins and dives through the exit, noticing that the stairs have become slick with oil from broken lamplights. Jonald nimbly grabs onto his shell and rides that oversized tortoise down the winding stairs like a surfer. The Rod and Coco try to run with the remaining child, but at the top of the stairs, they trip. The Rod, rather unrealistically, uses his fishing rods to get himself and the child down the stairs, whereas Coco uses a sheet of canvas as a sled, but he ends up crashing in a heap. Outside, Urtelzor checks out the bridge, which was their way across to the Blood Pine. Sadly, it doesn't present a means of escape. Jonald examines the wall and finds a crack, but in its current state, only the tiny Gerblin would be able to fit through it. Urtelzor rectifies this by using his new power of focused seismic blast to widen the hole in Jonald's crack. Jonald leads the way, leaping into the hole and down a chute-like path, just like in the Goonies, only without the water. Please disregard the water. He emerges on the other side of the tree and is greeted by the mysterious Crumb, who stands stoically by his wagon and horses. The Rod throws the kids down the flume. Despite his size, Jonald was able to catch them at the bottom. Coco wraps himself in the canvas, which became saturated in the oil that had leaked onto the steps he fell down. He slides down after them. Unfortunately, his flint hits a rock and accidentally ignites the material. Flames quickly spread over it and Coco himself. Thinking quickly, Urtelzor aims a seismic blast down the flume and it puts out the fire on Coco. Coco lands in a ball of smoldering clothes, but is uninjured. The Rod grabs onto Urtel and the pair charge down the flume. At the bottom, a waiting Crumb catches them. Now in relative safety, the crew of the Rodimus Prime watch as the tree regenerates back to its former glory. The gang travel through a beautiful forest, but the going is tough. Using the texting stone, Juliet communicates with her father, the mayor, telling him they are safe. He urges them to return home quickly and that he loves them. As they travel, the atmosphere turns blue and time slows down to a crawl. 3 ethereal figures, an elf, dwarf, and human, materialize. They are resplendent in their robes, which are adorned with runes, matching those of the Blood Pine's interior. They tell them there are other trees in other regions, namely Ire, Olo, and Xenos. There is also a 5th, but the ethereal beings do not recognize its power. Urtel questions them about Queen Knife, and is told that Queen Knife is leader and queen of goblins and gerblins. They also reveal that ancient evil never dies. Every 1 million years it will return. They tell Jonald that he has their insignia ring and when the time is right, it will aid him. He must be careful, however, as it can be used for good or evil. Coco questions them about the mysterious cards that have fallen into his possession. He is told one pack contains optical illusions, which he can use to fool and deceive people. They are, however, unable to see what power the second pack hold. The last request from the ethereal beings is for Urtelzor to return the book of magic he took from inside the tree. As they chant, the spirit of the slain goblin shaman appears, now free from the evil curse that once possessed him. He takes the book. The ethereals explain that they are unable to aid the crew directly, but will offer assistance when and where they can. This said, they slowly fade away. Back on the road, questions are asked of Crumb. Is there anything more to this mission than the mayor is letting on about? Can the mayor be trusted? Crumb's only response is that he's employed by the mayor, and that's all he knows. As they travel, the exhausted Ertlzor rests in the wagon. Crumb notices that Coco's anchor is missing a chain and recommends he sees Ulma, the town's blacksmith, who will make one for him. The caravan decide to set up camp for the night. The rod spots a clearing, but in it is a huge 40-foot circular scorch mark with 8 smaller circular scorch marks around it. In the middle is a chest. Bravely, Jonold approaches the chest, takes it, and returns to the others. It is very ornate, and Ertlzor spots ancient dwarf runes upon it. They ask Crumb to try and open it, but the lock is sealed with ancient dwarven magic. Jonold decides to shoot the lock open, but sadly misses. During this time, the rod investigates the scorched earth. Something about the way it is scorched from the middle out reminds him of something from his past. The memory comes to him, an adventure long ago, and a skull covered in flames that left similar scorch marks. At dusk the next day, the band arrive at Gilhelm. Through the texting stone, the mayor instructs them to come straight to the manor. Once there, the mayor, Hankerin Fernale, a man who made his fortune as a sailor exploring the 7 seas, invites them into his exquisite home. Jonold and Ertl spot 3 barrels with red ribbons tied upon them. They grow excited, knowing full well that they contain premium ale. As Hankerin leads them through to the next room, Crumb carefully locks the front door. The room is filled with expensive and luxurious decor from far-off lands. Exotic animal pelts and heads line the walls. Tapestries from foreign civilizations hang from every corner, and the smell of spices and oils fill the air. In front of a beautiful medieval fireplace lies an animal skin rug. In one corner rises a spiral staircase. Leaving his guests to get comfortable, Hankerin leaves the room to get drinks, returning a few minutes later with a tray of ale. With their adventure far from over, what will happen next time on Gnomz?